Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to tell you a different story. I'm going to tell you what we're doing. I think it's very interesting what Frederico said, context of how the market is and how complicated it is. And many of the things that he just mentioned, we're suffering in Mexico. Well, I should say instead of suffering, we're experiencing in Mexico. But in Televisa, that we're a big media company, I'm sure most of you know about us. Internally, we call it, and our bosses call it, the Dream Factory. And it's because we are very focused in content. That's our origin. That's what we do. But then we're facing right now one of our biggest challenges. How do we bring that dream into all platforms? Until very recently, we had all of our communication based on a portal that we created 10 years ago called esmas.com, which is still alive and will be alive, and it's going to be a channel of part of our brand. We realized that we were not focusing on Televisa.com. That's who we are. That's what the company's name is. That's what it's been for 50 years, and we hope to continue going. So we've been facing several things and been doing several changes. And one of them is that we decided to change it. But then we came into something saying, well, it was a corporate site when we said Televisa.com, but we need to promote our channels. But we are not just one network. We're just not one, like an ABC or CBS that only has one property to worry about and then keep it. So we came into a lot of story trying to see how do we gather all of our media into our portal, where we can promote our stuff, but at the same time to keep people informed. Then, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, we created a site called Evolución. And that's where we put all of our content. And very quickly, we became brand recognition. We became someone where we could place all, and you could see all of the content. But then again, we're going to use the name for something because it's the evolution of TV, Evolución. But then we realized that we need to concentrate everything into our own brand, which is Televisa.com. So we gathered all of our properties and all of our video and put it here. Here we have close to 40,000 hours of video. Almost 15,000 hours are in long content, in long form, and the other one are short form. But at the same time, we encounter some other problems or some challenges, saying, well, what are the right windows that we should give to our users? How do we do that? Well, at the beginning, we said, well, let's give them everything. So we have 200 episodes of each telenovela for the past 4 or 5 years. And then we took out all the DVDs versions that we had, and we placed them there, and we started generating traffic and traffic and traffic and traffic. But at the end, it was becoming more complicated to manage the content, and we said, well, is that really necessary? How do we play with those windows to give the content to our users? And don't forget that as part of our operation, well, we have cable companies, we have cable channels, and then we have, right now we're growing very extensively into telecommunications. So we had to come up, and then we said, okay, if we want to give catch-up content, we're going to give them 14 days of our content to play them. So for any given soap opera or any show that you see on Televisa that it belongs to Televisa, you can find it here. And the reaction has been amazing. People are coming, people talk about it. But then again, we're expanding it from TV, we're going to the next window, which is web. But now, you've heard so much during the past 2 days about, well, where is it going? Social media is going here, tablets, mobile. Well, I think they're right. But we know that the most important thing for us today is to make sure that our content is displayed everywhere. And the experience has to be good. Very, very good. So, one of our biggest focus today is to say, well, we can manage TV, Web, we're doing okay, we've been doing it for several years, but now we're encountering, and it's a fresh start. So we're bringing and making sure that mobile, takes its piece. And this is a figure that proves it. Last year, I was talking to my boss and said, well, listen, we should worry more about mobile. And 2 years ago, we started doing some web worlds. And they were there, and the phones were, they were not smartphones. And then in 2010, smartphones started coming out in the US, and we said, well, do we need to go there or not? Do we have to be ready for that? Well, I think we should get into it. But then we started encountering that it was very difficult at the beginning to come up and do an application. And it's becoming easier and easier and easier. I remember that when they announced the iPad in the US, my boss said, listen, what are we going to do? And for us, I said, well, we don't have a time yet. I said, well, you better get started. Call ABC, they released a beautiful one. So we called our friends from ABC and told them, listen guys, can you help us out? How did you do it? Can you recommend me a company, a developer, someone? And they said, well, it took us a team of 15 people that we worked for almost 12 weeks trying to get it there. And we just released it and we have an update already for next week. So I said, well, that's not really the way to go. So we had to go and learn how to do these things. And today we're happy to say that we have over 3 million download apps. And it's been a challenge. But then we started seeing that mobile web started to grow. And it was not only one. And it was started growing and growing and growing. So mobile web is about 7.5% of the traffic. And another 7.5% come from apps. About the same. I was in a conference last April, it sounds like forever, called App Nation in San Francisco, which I encourage you to go, because it was one of the conferences that I learned the most. Because you see what's happening, and they're doing one in a couple of months. And, back in April they said, well, we realize that the market is changing so fast that doing one a year, it's not enough. We're just going to be way, way, way behind. So we're doing 2 a year. And I agree with them. It's going. And then we start seeing that the traffic is going, and every month it continues to grow. So we need to make sure that our experience is great. And then we need to take our properties, what we were used to doing just for TV, into all of the platforms, which is web, which is the iPad, which is the iPhone, which is Android. But then you have, for those, we're very committed. And we will make it happen, and we will make sure that things work out perfectly, and everything that we're doing, we're preparing to migrate our audience, at least to these platforms. But then you have some other challenges, which are what's happening with BlackBerry, what's happening with Symbian, with Windows Mobile. Well, they'll be there. Well, maybe Symbian not, because they made a demo with Windows Mobile, but we can't really support so many applications. And then we need to make a decision and say, do I want to get into so many platforms that then every time something changes, I need to make sure that it works great for the traffic that I have? Well, that's a big argument that we have today. But that is certainly a big challenge that we need to do. That's why when I heard for the first time the term apps versus web, I said, well, it's going to be a fight. I think apps are going to be there forever, but I think HTML5 is going to be the winner. And we all know how to serve, and I think that mobile web is going to be big. And if you do it once, if you do it once well, it's going to run everywhere. So we're focusing very much into that. And but then we take our different properties. And most of you know El Chavo del Ocho, which is like a brand content from Televisa. This show has been on on the air for probably 35 years, 40 years. In fact, it's 40 years because we're celebrating from November to some other time the 40th anniversary of El Chavo del Ocho. We're really big thing. You will be hearing about it all through Latin America. But this is a great example of how we're extending, and we need to work and extend the media into a different platforms and properties. Chespirito Roberto Gomez Bolaños, he's 83 years old. He opened his Twitter 4 months ago. And if you get to see, it has over 1.6 million users or followers. And it continues to grow. And we don't doubt that probably within the next 6 months it's going to be probably the most followed person in Mexico. And we have evolved that not only from the real action, which is what I'm sure many of you have seen, but we're doing the Chavo Animado, so we brought it. He's getting old, so we need to use that brand, and we have already 4 seasons of El Chavo Animado, and we're taking it into games, apps, consoles, besides being able to have the whole experience in all platforms. And this is something that we did. Each of the endings had over 1 million views on the web. They were the most watched videos for that month. And each episode of Televisa gathered over 100,000 views. And just to finish up, well, we're doing a lot of live broadcasts. We broadcast the World Cup. We're broadcasting this new show that we're doing called Nuevos. And Nuevos, I mentioned it because it gathers, it's making 28 rating points on Sunday nights, 50% share. But the interesting part here is that you get to see what's happening on TV, but at the same time you have a parallel story. And everything that is happening behind the stage, all of it, it's happening through the web. And the reaction has been amazing. And of course, like we broadcast live on the web, and now we're going into the mobile devices, over 100 events, press conferences, trainings, the lockers from our soccer teams. We think that we need to go beyond that. That extended content, that extended media, is what is going to take us there. And last but not least, are connected TVs. I'm sure that next year, when we have a conference like this one, or this same conference, one of the topics that is going to be happening, and mark my words, are connected TVs. Mobile is going to be more mature, but then set-top boxes are going to start evolving. And your Wii, your PlayStation, your Xbox, or any of your connected TVs, that's what the content is going to be. And we're committed to breaking the rules, bringing our content everywhere, and we'll be happy to do it. Thank you very much.
Felicitaciones, Emilio, por tu...
Ahora mismo estamos viendo que el mundo está cambiando, ¿no? Está todo digitalizándose, la gente joven se va... No, está bien. La gente joven se va a YouTube, es decir que, claro, el modelo televisivo, ¿dónde está el futuro o qué futuro le queda o va a tener con los cambios que estamos viendo y con la gente joven sobre todo, cómo también están cambiando? Es decir, antes es verdad que eras tú el programador, vosotros las televisiones le dabais al consumidor lo que programabais, pero ahora es el consumidor que se programa y que se va a las pantallas y puede ver tan fácilmente programas tuyos como de la competencia o como de otro país. Es decir, ese futuro incierto también para vuestro modelo, ¿cómo lo veis o cómo lo ves tú personalmente?
Mira, nosotros creemos vehementemente de que el rey es el contenido.
Eso sí es verdad.
El contenido la gente lo va a venir a ver si es bueno. Y nosotros lo que sabemos hacer es contenido. Entonces, sí, comparto plenamente de que hay audiencias que se están expandiendo y se están cambiando. Pero por eso nuestro objetivo es tener nuestro contenido en todas las plataformas.
Claro, pero es el vuestro.
Las plataformas más importantes.
El vuestro, claro.
Y nuestro contenido creemos que es muy bueno y es relevante. Y la gente va a venir a verlo, ya bien sea en un celular, en una tableta, en una televisión conectada. Contenido hoy hay mucho.
Eso es único, ese es el tema que yo digo. Hay tanto que la gente se pierde en muchos contenidos y puede ver cualquier cosa, no solo lo tuyo.
Pero si el contenido es bueno, vendrán a ser tuyo. Ese es nuestro punto.
Sí, es decir, hacer contenidos buenos. Ahora mismo los contenidos están muy basados en el entertainment, ¿no? Me acuerdo que eso lo dije también en Moscú vuestro presidente, si se puede decir así, mucho entertainment, ¿no? Entonces, claro, ¿vais a seguir, esa es la línea vuestra, el tema de entretenimiento, o va a haber, por ejemplo, yo soy europeo, se nota, español, alemán, mi madre, en Alemania el modelo televisivo es muy distinto, es decir, ahí dicen entretenimiento está bien, pero también hay que pensar un poco, el gobierno alemán, ya sé que eso no es un tema privado, el gobierno alemán también piensa un poquito en el pueblo, en este caso en el pueblo alemán, dice entretenimiento bien, pero también hay que darle información a la gente y buena información y calidad. Y eso es verdad que en Sudamérica esa calidad, hay mucha discusión, mucha polémica con ese tema, también con vuestro modelo y otros modelos.
De acuerdo.
¿Ahí qué va a pasar o hacia dónde vamos?
Es debatible la calidad. Nosotros somos el contenido de la mejor calidad que tenemos. Ahora, en la parte del entretenimiento somos líderes, lanzamos un canal 24 horas de noticias, con el afán de poder tener una línea de comunicación y de información a la gente, donde tenemos una programación allá que se llama Foro TV. Lanzamos un canal de televisión de paga de puros deportes, se llama TDN, Televisa Deportes Network. Entonces, estamos abriendo los espectros no solo al entretenimiento, sino y no solo con momentos o con tiempos cortos y limitados, sino también hacia programaciones extendidas.
Y el mercado publicitario que se está moviendo ahora mucho, el mercado publicitario hasta ahora está claro que los spots, el gran mercado era la televisión, pero ahora vemos, tú mismo lo has dicho, se está ampliando a varias pantallas. Ahí no se pierde parte del mercado publicitario, al menos, y los ingresos van a disminuir porque lógicamente se paga otros costes, ¿no? El que pone un banner no paga lo mismo que el que pone un spot.
El movimiento de las audiencias va a suceder con o sin nosotros. Eso no lo podemos controlar nosotros. Lo que sí podemos controlar es de que tengamos muy buen contenido, tanto para televisión de paga, y tratar de venderlo lo mejor posible, y tener muy buen contenido para la parte digital, y también tratar de maximizar. Entonces, creo que va a haber movimientos, sin embargo, creo que estamos en una posición muy buena en la cual estamos atacando todas las diferentes ventanas en las cuales vaya creciendo o vaya migrándose la audiencia.
¿Y competís con grupos españoles también? Se puede decir, Prisa, el grupo Prisa está aquí también presente, ¿no? Prisacom. ¿Competís a nivel hispanohablantes con estos grupos también, no?
Sí, bueno, competimos contra todo el que genere contenido en español. No solo
por eso.
Los españoles, pero competimos también contra los venezolanos, colombianos, argentinos.
Sí.
Entonces,
pero ahí sois líderes, se puede decir que vosotros sois líderes dentro.
Hay mercado para todos. Hay mercado para todos. ¿No? Vemos como una oportunidad que el contenido esté creciendo y que esté en nuevas plataformas y que la audiencia esté moviéndose, porque ahí estaremos nosotros también.
Vale. Ok, pues muchísimas gracias.